Is this on? Hello. Happy spring, everybody. Oh, this makes me happy. You know it snowed on my friends in Boston yesterday? Of course, I didn't say anything about that. Nothing at all. Nothing about me walking my dogs in a t-shirt yesterday or anything like that. Didn't happen. So I figured since it was springtime, I wanted to bring a little color to the stage here. What do you think about having colors in the ensembles here? I like it. So this first piece that we just started off with was Randall Standridge's Steel. He's written 3 different pieces, which he calls his machine series, which is Afterburn, Adrenaline Engines, and now this right here. I really wanted to bring some new music to this stage. So when I was at the Oklahoma Music Educators Convention in January, I happened to be sitting right across from Pender's Music, which is a giant music distributor here in the United States. And I went over, chatted with them, and they picked out 3 pieces, of which I bought for our library here, and this was the first one. Next piece we're going to play is brand new, brand spanking new. Just written in 2024. It's actually only had a handful of performances, and it is Christina Huss's Legend of the Honjo. The Honjo blade, this is a really interesting history that I knew nothing about. There was an amazing Japanese blacksmith right around 1300 who was known for making different blades, katana blades, samurai swords. And probably the most famous one that he ever made was called the Honjo. Let's step back a little bit. Can you all hear me okay still? I'm the athletic band director. I'm used to being loud. So, and this Honjo blade was passed down from shogun to shogun for hundreds of years. And then in 1939, it was actually made like a prized piece by the Japanese. And then, when the Japanese surrendered at the end of World War II, they actually surrendered that blade. Since then, it was actually lost. It's very, very interesting little history with that. And he also built a handful of other blades, which are kept in great records in Japan here. So we're going to perform this Christina Huss's The Legend of the Honjo. Enjoy. Oh, they got me sweating again. Look at this. I was trying to explain earlier. It's not the fact that I sweat so much. I just don't have any hair to catch it. So it just goes. One day they'll know. One day. So the different positions that I hold here, I'm the athletic band director. I conduct this wonderful symphonic band right here. And I'm a tuba player. And so I teach low brass lessons, all the tubas, euphoniums, and trombones. Each week, these music majors and minors, and some people that are even different, not even majors, we have one business major, as a matter of fact, who joins the studio and takes lessons. They'll have their private lessons, and then we also have a studio class on Thursdays. And these studio classes we run in different ways each week. Sometimes we're doing warm-up drills. Sometimes we're working on pieces like we're about to play for you. Sometimes we do like mock auditions, or if we have students coming that have recitals coming up, we'll let them play their recital pieces. It's a little bit different every week. And we've had a lot of fun this year performing a great arrangement of Mars from Holst's The Planets. Holst wrote The Planets between 1914 and 1917. The premiere was in London in 1918. And kind of tonight's program, I was wanting to kind of mix a little bit of old with a little bit of new. And the two older pieces that we're doing have a little, I love them personally. They date me back to when I was in high school. And Holst's Planets was actually I was in a drum and bugle corps, which is how I fell in love with music. It's like a professional marching band. And one summer we marched music from the Planets. And so we're going to perform for you. This is the low brass studio right here. And we're going to perform a wonderful arrangement of Mars from the Planets. Enjoy. Now I'm really sweating. Awesome, fantastic. So next, we're gonna play another brand new piece for you that was just written in 2024. There's a wonderful wind band composer, award-winning, by the name of Robert Sheldon. And he wrote this piece for Jupiter High School in Florida. If anybody's ever been to Jupiter, just offshore, there's about a 150-foot tower. That's the Jupiter Inlet Light, this lighthouse. And he wrote this as a depiction of that lighthouse. And there's 3 major sections, all which come back at different points in this piece. And it opens with a very majestic theme, which is actually, if you can just picture at the very opening, the sun rising over the ocean. And then the next section that you're going to hear is a very playful dance in kind of an uneven, a 7-8 meter right here. And when you're listening to that, what I want you to try to picture is somebody like standing up at the top of this lighthouse and looking at all the people playing on the beach, and then also looking and seeing all the different boats and the waves and surfers and sailors around there. And then, of course, with any piece, there has to be a storm depiction as well. So this is Sentinel by Robert Sheldon, just written in 2024. I got to say, we've had a lot of fun with this music this cycle right here. Excellent, excellent, excellent work. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our symphonic band here, our symphonic band is essentially, it's a campus band. It's mostly non-majors. There are a number of music education majors who are actually playing alternate instruments, which is a wonderful opportunity for them to get hands-on experience in an ensemble, which in the end is going to make them a much better teacher. So this is a very, very special group, and I'm really thrilled with the work they've done. This is a little tougher program than they're used to doing, but they kept asking for challenges, so who am I to hold them back from that, right? So this next piece that we're going to play takes me back to high school. I actually got a chance to perform David Holsinger's Havendance with him conducting. When I was a senior in high school, he ran the district band. I grew up in Tulsa, and he ran our districts one year, and I got to play a program of about 3 of his works and some other stuff. And it's very special to get a chance to play a piece with the composer actually conducting that. You really learn a lot about it. And a lot of his backstory, he wrote 3 pieces all based on his kids. And his first daughter, her name was Haven, and she loved to twirl around and dance all hours of the day and night. With her goal was to be a ballerina. And so you will hear a lot of those dance figures, and just a lot of fun in this next piece right here. I'd like to take a second and to give a big shout out and thank you to all the Bicknell staff and everybody that worked so hard in this wonderful performance art facility to make all of this run. If everybody can please give them a hand, I'd really appreciate that. And I'd also like to thank my wonderful colleagues. This is just such a great place to work. This is, for those who I have not had yet the chance to meet, this is just my 2nd year here, and I'm having just a wonderful time. Big hand for the music department, please. And lastly, I'd just like to thank you all again for coming out and spending this beautiful evening with us, and we'll get you out of here and back into the gorgeous sunlight, and thank you again.